Mrs. Remi Odunsi. I have a lot of things I want to talk to you about. We're living in a country where we've seen elections rigged. People now do not believe that their vote counts. What do you say to those people?
Well, because oftentimes we expect to have perfection. And because we don't have perfection, we let go of our own responsibility.
You're a Christian in politics. I want to ask you a question now.
And even as Christians, that's not what God is asking of.
Every time women stand up to do something, you see that it's always tailored towards women and children.
You have moments in your life that are pivotal. That yesterday was one of those moments, because it just told me that, I'm on the right track.
Politicians can say all kinds of things, and when they're on camera, they can say all kinds of things.
You know why I'm in APC? I'm a grassroots person. Go look for politics in the Bible. Cannot be aloof and then be complaining. What influences our children is not just what you teach them at home.
Hello everyone, welcome tonight. Joining us all the way from Lagos State, Nigeria is Mrs. Remi Odunsi. Mrs. Remi, welcome tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
The pleasure is ours. I've followed you over the years and I've seen a lot of things you've done. I've seen how much impact you're making to a lot of people. Great things that you're doing. So I just want to start by saying thank you for all that you do.
Thank God.
Thank you, Ma. I'm excited about our conversation today. I have a lot of things I want to talk to you about. First of all, I've watched you over the years, right? And I've seen the way you connect with people. It's holistic. It's real. It's beyond the politicians. Hello from afar, right? It's real connection. So I'm curious, what in your childhood or in your background inspired this kind of connection?
Well, I think it's just the way I was brought up. And I really believe in the saying that it takes a village to, actually bring up a child. I think my mother took it to the next level. And I would remember growing up, we were asked to be polite to everyone. It doesn't matter if you were the house girl or if you driver. She made sure that we're able to deal with people, across board. To her, she will always say that these fingers are not equal. But before God, we are equal. God loves everyone, the same way. Of course, God will have his favorite, but the way God deals with us, it's not based on our social, our status. We're just human beings. And that's the way I've always dealt with people in my life. So I treat people with dignity, with honor. It doesn't really matter who you are, where you come from. As long as you are older than me, even sometimes you may not even be older than me, but I'm kind of conscious of the fact that the dignity of any human being stems from the way they are treated.
Yes, ma'am.
So that's something I caught very early in my childhood. So, yeah.
That's profound. That's profound. That's a really great point to make. And then it goes to say, I believe, that when we say we want our politicians to behave differently, it means that starts from the home, yes?
For instance, let me go with the religion, from the religious angle. I can say I came from a blended family. My father used to be a Muslim that converted it, to be a Christian early in his life, even before he got married. So he got tutored or educated by, the Catholic mission. So that's actually endeared him to Christianity. However, the larger part of my family still, practiced, they were Islam. So growing up, we did everything. So right now we're having the Ileya festival. I used to tell people, look, I grew up in a situation where we celebrated both. Apart from that, growing up back then was not we lived with so much harmony and love. And till now, that's what I teach my own children. Because even as Christians, the foremost law we have is to love, yourself, love your fellow human being, love God with all your heart. It did not say love Christians. If we read it well, so the foremost law of God is love. And that love should transcend religion. And those were the things that we were practicing back then. growing up, the community was very strong.
Hmm.
So we were able to give that. But somewhere along the line, things started
Yes, ma'am.
changing, education came in, people segregated and all that. And I still believe that we can still do that. So while I'm trying to answer your
Hmm.
question, saying that you want your politicians to do that, if they're not brought up that way, or if they didn't live in that era, or they even have their own personal belief system or values, you can't force
Hmm.
them. The only thing is that we just hope that we have enough people that are doing this, that it will rub off on so many other people. So it's not, for me, it's not cast in stone, and it's not mandatory. um I wanted to say something now, but I'm restraining myself from saying it, because that person, that individual, is known across the
Hmm.
world. In fact, if we say it, we may say maybe he's the number one citizen in the world. But the question is, you are laughing because you probably know who I'm talking
I have
about.
a clue who we're talking about.
Don't mention the
I won't.
name.
I won't. I won't.
Because we are not going to mention that name. You
Yes.
understand? But I believe that you can't say, if you see him, you can't say, people even think that he's brash, he's this and that. So you may not say, oh, he's a loving
Hmm.
person. So what I'm trying to say to you is that it should not be a
Hmm.
prerequisite. We want people of values, we want people that, show love, have integrity and all that, but we cannot all be the
Hmm.
same. In a team, if you have a team that team has the same, all the people in the team have the same attributes, they will never be
Hmm. That's true.
successful. Never. So in a team, you must have people of diverse interests, diverse values, diverse, traits. Their behaviors will not be the same. Their behavior will not be
Hmm.
the same. So that's what makes up a team. So if you want every politician to be the same way, it's going to be boring.
Hmm.
Let me put it that way. So variety is the spice of life.
Very true. And there can be unity in diversity once we work with principles. And I think the
Exactly.
key, the fundamental
Fan-
principle here being love.
yes.
Very important. I've seen this thing. So
Yes.
politicians can say all kinds of things, and they can, when they're on camera, they can say all kinds of things. But I've seen it even when you were not running for office. You don't even remember me. You've served me food in your house, right? And so I've seen you do these
Are you
things.
serious?
I've seen you do these things. You were not running for office when you were serving us. Young guys came, visited your house. I don't want to go into all of those details. We spent the whole time
Yes.
talking about that because it was an
Yes.
awesome experience, right? But you see, you believe in people so much.
Thank you.
You said something. I'm quoting you now. I strongly believe that the greatest asset of any nation or society is its people. The people are it. And that's why I love connecting with people. That's why
Yes.
I love serving people and working
Yes.
to better their lot in every way that I can, right? I say this gives you
Yes.
fulfillment, right?
Yes.
Serving people gives you fulfillment, yes?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I care to say this all the time to people that, for me, it's not about the
Huh,
title, it's not about holding an office, it's about the impact. And I'm happy that you are one of the people that's been, part of this, even though I'm still trying to recollect, but I've had many people pass through. So we'll talk about
huh,
that, offline. However, the
huh,
people, it's not the amount of oil that we
huh,
have. It's not the amount of, riches that we have. It is about the
huh,
people. And if you look at Nigeria, for instance, I can tell you that Nigeria is truly, truly blessed. It's not because we are this oil producing,
huh,
country. It's because anywhere, and I believe that I've traveled quite a bit in my life. And I tell you, everywhere
huh,
I've been, Nigerians have made marks all over the world. They've done amazing things. One of my favorite things to say, I think I went to not Namibia. I think it was either not
huh,
Congo, um, not South Africa. I'm trying to remember the country. Is in South of Africa that I went. It was my first time going to that
huh.
country, and it's close to Tanzania. I'm trying to remember the name now.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
understand? And we got to the airport. I in my life had never heard of Aki and Popo.
Oh,
They looked at my passports, went with my husband, and the next thing they say, "Oh, do you know Aki and Popo?" I'm like, I looked at my husband and said, "Who's Aki and Popo?" I said, this artist. Or I said, I was looking at them, and they were just quite
Oh.
excited that we were Nigerians, and we because of Aki
Uh-huh.
and Popo. And lo and behold, when we entered the hotel, and I remember that hotel is at Victoria Falls, so I'm going to try and
Mm.
remember the name of the country. If you look on, I'm trying to. I don't know why I forgot. Um, you
Mm.
know, the TV was in one African magic kind of whatever, and lo and behold, my husband just said, "That's Aki and
Oh.
Popo." Now, Aki and Popo for me, they are just, you just look at them and say, "Oh, they're just Nollywood, actors," but they are changing the narrative of a particular country.
Oh. Oh.
They are changing they're almost changing the culture. These people were describing my headgear, what we wear, how they are now wearing. I had a friend that got married in Kenya. I took agbada to him. We were in business school in
Oh.
France, but he insisted I was going to wear Nigerian, agbada for his wedding. So when I say that people really are the greatest assets we have in Nigeria, I have my reasons for saying that. And that's why we have to take care of our people. That's why you see me, you know, give things to do palliatives when I'm not expecting anything from anybody. Because the more people we get to be productive, the more people we get to, and productivity is not only coming from hard work. You'll be more productive if you are well fed, if you are happy, if you have sound mind. So what are you doing? Even you, I'm asking you that question as an individual in your environment, in your community, to make sure that people are productive. Not by just giving them jobs. There are other things. There are mental health issues. There are just simple things as saying good morning, smiling, caring. You don't see somebody for 1 month, you're not asking. So those things are things that they may not be um, so obvious, but they do increase our productivity as a nation exponentially. So yes,
Well.
these people that we have in Nigeria and across the world, they are our greatest assets.
Wow, these are
Yeah.
thought-provoking things you're saying here. I wish everyone would take what you just finished saying, go sit down somewhere, lock the door, listen to it, think about it until it sinks into you and changes the way you behave. Because this
Yes.
is behavior changing things you are saying here, right?
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
appreciate you for saying these things. And
Thank you.
I've noticed you're always surrounded by young people. Young people are always around you. I've seen you host conferences for them. I've seen you organize stuff for tech, the young people tech, the young people in tech, right? So let's talk about the role that young people play in advancing the democracy, or will play in advancing the democracy in Nigeria. Let me go to a quote from you now. I'm quoting you. When I look at
Okay.
Nigerian youth, I don't see laziness, mischief, or crime. I see gold in terms of their potential, their courage, their gift, and their world attested resourcefulness. Right? How
Yes.
can
Yes.
how can we advance? I want to ask you now. How can we advance our democracy by empowering the youth?
Well, I'll first talk about what you quoted, and
Hmm.
I think this journey started for me about 2014. And
Hmm.
since then, I've met amazing, brilliant mind. And to answer your question,
Hmm.
things have been said, and individual choices are what we bring about, let me say, national transformation.
Oh.
So when you ask that question, how do you get people? For me, how I do it is I engage, and if you see me around, of course you've said you've seen me around youth, and they walk into my office, we talk, I engage, I'll give you an example. I don't know if I'm going to use this example to answer your question, if that's good. And I'm
Hmm.
saying this so that I hope many people like me would take their time to sit down with their children, to sit down with their nieces, nephews, the young ones, and to say the youth especially, to actually say things to people that I realized that some of you guys don't even know the history of Nigeria. You think you know. There are things that when I say to people, they are just dumbfounded and say, that happened in Nigeria. I'm like, yes, this was what was going on in this country. And when we now give that narrative, things actually change. Just yesterday, a young man came to this office, um, and the mother called me. When the mother called me, she didn't actually understand. For me, that was you have moments in your life that are pivotal. That yesterday was one of those moments because it just told me that, I'm on the right track. It's not about winning a political office. It's about changing the narrative and getting people to actually come into this space. This young man just finished in the UK, now came back to Nigeria. He's not serving yet, but he wants to go into politics. And I was so happy. In fact, I got him to talk to two people yesterday. One, a sage in politics that will tell you the history from even before Awolowo till today. Is like an encyclopedia. The other person is a professional, but is also interested in politics. And I got him to talk to the two people. By the time he came to me after 2 hours, he told me that he's completely sold out to going into politics. And I was trying to convince him that, look, start your politics in Lagos. He said no. He's going back to his village. That was profound for me. So go back to your question, how do we get people? It's by engaging. It's by telling people what they don't know, or telling them what they think they know that they don't know. Letting them see that, look, we cannot change this thing. You want the country to change. You are looking for national transformation. It has to come for individual decision. So 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 + 1 to gazillion is what is going to now be a cumulative change that will bring about transformation. But if we all sit back and we're not doing anything, nothing is going to change. But that first decision is an individual decision. So if I take a decision, you take a decision, your children are, imagine this thing changing and being put together, then we begin to see the changes. So how do we engage the youth? We keep talking. We keep giving avenues. Now, when you see me, even when I'm ministering now, I had to go study. When they tell you this and that, I did. I'm sure you were in just last time when I spoke about the most political book in existence is the Bible. Go look for politics in the Bible. You will see from even with the Lord Jesus Christ. You will see from the beginning to the end that this is a political book. But we are the ecclesia. What are we doing? We now feel that no, we're not called to that space. Don't let's get into that because I don't want it to be a preaching discussion.
But it's super okay. It's super okay. A large section of our audience are Christian, so this will minister to them. I really love what you're saying because oftentimes you hear things like the family is the smallest unit in society. But what's the family without the individual? And you're talking about for as long as we can engage individuals and shape the way they think individually. Bible says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So everything we see in society today is a function of how the individual is thinking in his heart.
Exactly.
And the only way we can shape you didn't want to go to the scriptures now. I'm going off full-fledged scriptures.
Yes.
Right? The Bible says, how can they believe in him of whom they have not heard? How can they hear except there be a preacher? Somebody must be communicating values to young people. So we cannot just stay away from them and think they're just going to change and do exactly what we'll do. That's what you're saying, yes?
Yes, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And I'm going to go down this lane. Now, so we have many mountains, but let's stick to the 7 that we know. Let me look at the mountain of education. Do you know that your children that you send to school, whether you like it or not, they're spending enough time in school to have their values tweaked? Yes, the primary thing, which is what is responsibility of every parent, is to ensure that the values that you have are what is being passed on to your children, not ones they are borrowing from outside. I'll give you a personal story. I used to sell toys. So, of course, because of my belief, I wasn't carrying Harry Potter toys. So in my home, you won't find any Harry Potter book. Now, my children were going to a particular school. I don't want to mention the name. And in their library, they had all the series of Harry Potter. So my younger son then was now asking my older son to say, have you read those Harry Potter, maybe volume 4? Let me just put it like that. My head just went, eh? So I now called both of them. I said, come, come, come. So the younger was saying that, mommy, Tosi he read all the series. I was flabbergasted. I was like, what? He said, but don't worry. We know the real God. We know that's the fake God.
Wow.
Now, at that point, I realized that there's the values that you teach at home, they will carry it out there. But you have values going on in the educational system that if the home front is not properly secured, they have, the power to influence. Now, this is where I'm coming. You are choosing people, you have policy makers and all that. You are ignoring all those things, thinking that is none of your business. You are forgetting that the policies that are being made are the ones that are being taken to this educational system that your children go to every day. You can't afford to be aloof. You can't. You can't say, I'm not voting. You can't say, what's my own? You have ward meetings. You are not even, the ward meetings is even, you are on the top floor. The ward meeting is taking place on the ground floor. Yet you will not go there. And you say it's none of your business and you are crying wolf. No, you don't have the right to do that. Because as a citizen, you are supposed to be participating. It's not let's move away from just complaining and complaining. If you are participating and you are now complaining, you have the right to, because you would have made them know your thought process at those meetings. So what I'm trying to say is that if you look at everything from entrepreneurship to healthcare to to even the family to religion, everything, you find politics across everything. So you cannot be aloof and then be complaining. So what I'm saying is that what influences our children is not just what you teach them at home. They come from policies. They come from values. They come from the system that we are developing, or in time past have been developed over the years, and we need to change. How do we change them? We can't change them when people don't participate. You understand? So
Yes,
that to me is something that we should remember all the time. That politics is in everything that we're doing.
Wow. And participation is key. And I think that's the biggest thing I draw out of this. We have to participate.
Yes,
Uh,
you
years
have
ago,
to.
uh, years ago, a particular statement was popular. Politics is a dirty game, and that's how a lot of people in the church requised themselves from politics. And then we see where we are today. If you look at the Western world, you find them trying to correct things that have been done. Why? Because certain people did not participate in stuff. Schools were taken by the liberals, and then all kinds of books appear there. All kinds of things are being taught there, and then you find the conservatives now making a push. People like Charlie Kirk making a push to reach schools. I think it's very important what you're saying. And I've taken something from this that I'm going to start doing. And maybe we'll discuss this later. I think we really need to begin to reach schools,
Yes.
not stay away from them. And then when things go crazy, we now start complaining. Complaining is not the way. Participation is the way. I think this is very important. I think that now brings us to a word I first heard from you. In fact, you're the only person who has said this. I mean, I've read books. I follow a lot of people, politicians, book writers, influential people. You're the only person who has said something about the office of the citizen. I've not seen it anywhere. I want us to talk about that. And you said
Okay.
this about the office of the citizen. You said the office of the citizen is a very critical one and a formidable office in true democracy. Can you tell us what the office of the citizen is and how important it is in nation building?
Thank you. Well, it's very simple. Office of a citizen is an office that you've acquired by, I would not even say by virtue of you being a citizen of that country, but that is what it is. But it's by virtue of you being an human being. Let me put it that way. Because in Nigeria today, and Israel, I have people that have lived in Nigeria, let's say maybe Israelis or people from Lebanon, they are not quote and unquote Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo, whatever, but they are they are citizens in Nigeria. So the first thing for me is you are an a male, female human being, let me put it that way, that is in a society. And it is something that once you have it, hardly can it be taken away from you. You understand? So if, for instance, I have somebody that is in Lebanese that's been maybe fourth generation in Nigeria, that person is more or less, I'm doing that. I'm doing this deliberately because I don't want you to think, oh, it's because I'm Nigerian. No, I have an office in this country. It's about being responsible, and that's what we forget. The office of a citizen is something that they cannot take from me. For instance, I'm a citizen of this country. You cannot now tell me that I am no longer a citizen. I am a citizen, and that office I'm going to occupy till I die. And that office is one that demands certain responsibility from me. One, the responsibility to vote, the responsibility to ask questions, the responsibility to participate, the responsibility to ask for accountability, both as a citizen, because we always talk about accountability of our leaders and of our politicians. But there's the first accountability is from me, self-accountability. We always forget to ask ourselves for our own accountability. Because you see certain things on the road and you start asking a question. Is this refuse? If I go to my window now, across my street, it irritates me. The place is heaped with refuse. Is that government? Why are you putting refuse at the junction? Exactly. So the office of a citizen, as a citizen, a law-abiding and good citizen, it transcends things like, okay, I want to be a politician, I want to be whatever. Self-regulation. That's the first thing. Then you now take it a notch up and now start asking several questions. But the office of a citizen is something that cannot be taken from you. And it demands of you to be responsible. And part of the responsibility is for you to vote so that you can be part of the transformation and taking decision in the country. So if we say we are not going to vote, you've just taken yourself out of the equation. I'm not going in. What they are doing is not good. The office of the citizen does not demand that the system is perfect. The office of the citizen is demanding that you be responsible. So for me, that is the way I like to look at it. Because if I take it from the other angle, we are going to start saying things that we cannot maybe justify, or I cannot. So I prefer to look at it from my own angle, from an individual angle. So if I'm responsible enough, I'm going to participate, I'm going to engage, I'm going to ask questions, I'm going to be law-abiding, I'm going to be respectful, I'm going to be honorable. So when enough people are doing that, you are going to see changes. So for me, that is not something that anyone should take lightly. My son is going to be 18 in July. I'm going to make sure that he's going to register. He's going to take his decision. I'm going to try as much as possible to have him register in my party, APC. But the truth is that part of me being a responsible parent is telling him and giving him the manifestos of different, and hoping, just the same way in my house we are Man United.
Yes.
And you dare not say you want to support another.
The day actually visited your house, Manchester United played, Manchester United lost, and you were laughing at your husband. I didn't even know you supported Manchester United.
I didn't have a choice because I don't have any other home. There's that subtle rule that you cannot really support any other club in this house. But we give you the free mind to even think about it. But when you finish thinking about it, you will see nowhere to fall.
Yes.
So that's the same way it's going to be. I'll show him the manifesto of the different because I know why I'm in APC. I'm a grassroots person. My children are, They are like that. So really and truly, it will not be a difficult, decision for them to make. But part of being responsible is teaching them that you are a citizen and you hold an office, and these are the requirements of that particular office. So yeah, I hope that you two, you take it seriously. Nobody can take it from you. And one thing that you should always remember, that as a citizen, the office of a citizen is one of an employer. Do you understand? Yes. So you are the boss. So like someone like me that is veering for the House of Reps, you are employing me. I'm at your service. It's not the other way around. So as a citizen, we are serving other citizens. As a citizen, you are my boss. If you are in my constituency, I work for you. You are the one sending me to Abuja. If you are in the Senate, you are the one sending me to the Senate. If I'm the governor, you are the one that I'm working for. So as a citizen, we understand that we work for you. When you start seeing yourself as that person, the narrative will change.
Wow.
We are here to serve you. We're servant leaders.
Oh, that's profound, man. That's so profound. I wish we had a little more people like you. Things would be quite different. So the office of a citizen is actually a call to responsibility, right? A call to responsibility to be responsible for your immediate environment, and when you are promoted to higher things, you take same values there. Because I've once traveled hours with candy pack in my pocket. Why? Because I simply wouldn't just drop it in the street. And if a lot of people thought that way, will not have rubbish on the street, and they have a whole street looking dirty, and then you blame the government for what the citizen is responsible for. It's so profound. And my next question was actually going to be about voting. You went there with your explanation. So let's go there. Now I want to ask you a question. Right, for the viewers watching who are thinking, okay, I accept my responsibility to participate in changing the narrative of my nation. I recognize that voting is part of it, and I want to do it. But we're living in a country where there is we've seen elections rigged, or at least we've seen things that are not supposed to happen when it comes to elections. People now do not believe that their vote counts. What do you say to those people?
Well, I think I'm going to go there now. So let me say this. I'll take a male and a female. So let me start from the female. Because oftentimes we expect to have perfection. And because we don't have perfection, we let go of our own responsibility. And even as Christians, that's not what God is asking of us. So let me tell you, or let me just state this. In my own opinion, Esther lived in a very political kingdom. The palace was a political place. And at the time, she was supposed to be the one to save a whole nation, our people. She could have decided, because she was going to be killed, if she should see the king without being called for, and said, I don't want to allow, because it's the same thing. I don't want to vote. Whether or not the system is perfect or not is not the issue. The issue is that you have a responsibility to do that. Esther would have said, I won't do anything because the palace is political. And then a whole nation will go to ruin. She didn't do that. She did what was required of her in that position. That is being responsible. Daniel went through how many regimes? Let me put it that way. And these people were not even people that believed in his God. But guess what? He made sure that he influenced a whole generation, not in a perfect situation. You understand? In fact, they even rigged. If you say you are using the word rigged, so I'm going to use that same word, even though I have my own views on that. But let's not go there. They even rigged or tweaked the law against Daniel to kill him.
Yes.
Did you see what he did? He still continued and maintained his lane. That is being responsible. I'm so sorry. You may not agree with me, but certain decisions that we are taking under the guise of the system is not perfect. If Daniel had waited for the system to be perfect, he wouldn't have been able to influence a whole generation. We're reading about it today. So what I'm saying to you is that do your bit. Be responsible. Okay? Do your bit. Be responsible. The responsibility on you is to go out there and vote. Whether or not the system is perfect is not what we're talking about now. When enough people get out there to vote, the system will be, by all means, by compulsion, become perfect. The reason you are still complaining is what you don't have enough people out there. At the last election, I was begging youth on my street. They decided that they were going to play football on the day of election. I was walking in between their football, them knocking their football at me because they had cards. They just didn't want to vote. That is not being responsible. That is being irresponsible. If we think about this from our own point of view and not looking at the imperfection we have in the system and just say, I need to do. I'm going to speak Yoruba now, so I'll try and translate. Meaning that's one of the things my mom would always say. You don't have to. They'll say to her, somebody is doing this, somebody is doing that. Say, let me just do my bit. Let me do what God has called me to do. Let me be responsible. So that they will say that I have done that, which by all means I should have done. That's the only way I can interpret that. But if we live like that, we will know that when enough of us, let's don't look at imperfection and look at ourselves that we, quote and unquote, see as perfect. Put ourselves forward and be responsible. We'll see things gradually, changing.
Wow.
So I don't know if that's, answers your question.
It's profound. It's profound what you've said. You've over-answered my question. I wish everything you've said, I wish it was put in a textbook and put in primary schools. By the time people turn 18, we will have people who think completely differently. It's so powerful what you're saying right now. What you're saying is really powerful. And I think a lot of Nigerians need to hear this. We cover a lot of things. Sometimes when we're going to cover, they've killed somebody or they've killed some people in Jos, and we're driving there. People are like, oh, you're going there, it's not safe. It's not safe. Somebody needs to do something about it. We cannot all be thinking about our safety, sit down in our home, sit down, keep quiet, and then just let things go. If change is going to come, somebody has to play his role. Somebody has to take responsibility. Just like you rightly said, Esther had to take responsibility for her people. There will be no salvation for us today if Jesus did not take responsibility for humanity, even though he knew up front he was going to have to die to get that to get that done. So it's so profound. We completely agree with you. And in fact, of all the things you have said, I think this one is the one thing we're really going to drive and ensure that a lot of Nigerians see. Because if this nation is going to change, we need to become responsible citizens, taking responsibility for the things happening here, and not finding reasons to stay away from what is our God-given obligation. So it's so profound, and thank you very much. I want to talk about politics and Christianity. You're a Christian in politics. I want to ask you a question now. Do you think the church has maximized its powers when it comes to politics or when in the political space?
Okay, incidentally, I did a post this morning and I said leadership is from God. Then someone sent me a message and said, actually, there's something, I think, in Islam that says power is from God. And, just to answer your question, we understand what we are as the ecclesia, right?
Yes.
And I don't think it's the responsibility of the church to say they are, because the church you have is like a dry cleaning outfit. You have different attires that come in for dry cleaning, right? So in a church, you will not have one party. So saying that the church should be responsible for instance, for churning out the right politicians or whatever. Yes, partly yes. The function of the church is to raise people of values that would fit those positions, and also not to and to now encourage people to, I'm sorry, I'm sure the Twitter view or X view now will come for me with the next statement I want to make. But that's my personal opinion, and I'm entitled to it. When you say that politics is a dirty game and you don't want to be part of it, I'm sorry, it sounds like pride to me.
Oh.
It sounds like you feel that you are too big to serve the people. Why is somebody in the hospital not saying, have you seen people that take care of old people? They clean up, they clean them up. If you had aged family members at a particular time after a certain age, they can't hold it up. So especially if they are sick, you have to clean. So you now say that you can't clean your grandmother, for instance, messing herself up, is they will look at you in your family like, like you're about to say lele kind of thing. That's the way it is. So for me, when I hear such things, I kind of akin it to that saying that is a dirty whatever. Why is it dirty? That's the first question. Because why are you saying that politics is dirty? We should answer those kind of questions. You understand? Why is it dirty? Bring the thing. Oh, because the people that are there are not your kind of people, but they are human beings? Or because they don't speak the same language you speak, but they are human beings? We are all diverse in different ways. What you see as food is somebody else's poison. So we have to find a way to meet each other in the middle. But coming back to the church's responsibility is actually to raise people and to encourage people to be responsible. So it's not about Christianity. I can tell you confidently, it's not that I actually took my time and I did a survey. Right now in Nigeria politics, we have like 85% they are Muslims. So it's because the church was feeling too cool. The church feels that they are not called to that mountain of politics, forgetting that they are the ecclesia. No. Wow. If you really truly listen and say, God, where are you sending me? You mentioned something just now. I don't know if you were there in 2019 when we had the conference in Jos. When that conference started, because I'm talking about the church now, you understand, and politics. We often think that politics is when you now come out and say, I want to become governor. No. Politics is actually influencing the narrative, influencing the culture, and bringing about transformation. We went to Jos. We wanted to have a prophetic conference. We said, okay, what will these people be doing with their children? So we said, okay, we have children's conference, Malak as well. So I reached out to them in Jos. I said, okay, can you bring about maybe 200 children? They said, no, we can give you 2,000.
Very well. Yeah, I remember this very well.
They said, no, we can give you 2,000. I said, who will take care of 2,000 children? Where will they even come from? Lo and behold, at that conference, they were dropping children at NDLEA gates for us with buses. We were bathing 3-year-olds at that conference.
Yes.
But guess what? This is almost 10 years later. I now meet teenagers that were at that conference. Do you understand?
Yes.
So at that conference, something that you said they should be teaching them in school. When we gather them together at those formative ages, who are the people talking to them? Did anybody stand up to tell them that, okay, this is what democracy is called? Government by the people, for the people, by the people. You understand? Of the people, by the people, for the people. Did anybody talk to them? If those children can come back and I see one or two and say, oh, I was at Malak conference, you gave us a backpack. In my mind now, I'm saying to myself, is there anything else they took from that place? Is there anything we gave to them that will make them the right citizen for Nigeria. So I'm challenging the church. I know one person that is doing this and is being very, very deliberate about it. Dr. David Ogweli. I'm
Oh,
giving
wow.
it to him that is very intentional about that mountain of politics in,
Hmm.
in national transformation. Every pastor, every church should understand that this transformation will not come about by just fasting and prayer. When we are finished fasting and praying, we have to do things. We have to nurture our youth. We have to nurture our children. We have to start teaching them. If a 5-year-old or a 7-year-old can recite the Quran, there's no reason why you can't learn that you are a citizen and this is what the Lord is asking of you.
Hmm.
So it's not, you can't separate the church from this. The church will now have to now go back to the blueprint of how we have done church, which
Hmm.
is religion. And religion is different from kingdom. I don't want to go into that today. But
Hmm.
when we start moving from religion to moving to kingdom, we'll
Hmm.
now start seeing people. Let me give you an example. When I ran in 2022, I had a pastor in this very building using one of our halls downstairs.
Hmm.
And it was very late. It must have been about 9 o'clock. And I was going home. Do you know that he actually waited for me
Oh, wow.
and said that, Madam, I waited because they said you were in a meeting, but I just wanted to meet you today to talk to you.
Hmm.
That over 5 years ago, the Lord told him to go back to his village and run for maybe chairman or something.
Hmm.
But because of what he saw at that time, he told me that he was going to go. But he was a
Hmm.
pastor. You understand? He didn't
Yes.
think that he was called to that mountain. There are so many people that would listen to me here today.
Hmm.
Over the years, in the last 7 years, I have talked to so many people that felt that politics is a dirty game and they are not called to it. Sir, ma, you are prideful.
Hmm.
So let's just call it that. It's pride. If God is calling you to do something and you are not doing it, apart from you being disobedient, you are also being prideful. So
Hmm.
just do what God has called you to do. So the church, our churches will need to start talking. And I'm seeing that change now. I'm seeing that a lot of churches are now talking about, citizens taking up that responsibility and being responsible citizens. So for me, I feel that you can't separate the two. We are just the ones that are not doing what we're supposed to do.
Wow. It's so refreshing talking to you, Matt. Please, I'm going to have to make you commit to something. I want to make you commit to coming back to talk about religion and kingdom. Please, please commit to coming
Okay.
back for that.
I will with all my heart because that's something I'm also passionate about.
Thank you. You've made my day.
Yeah.
Today feels like Christmas Eve right now. The fact that you are coming back for us to talk about that. Because many years ago, I think in 2016, I used to gather these young people in my house and teach them. We used to talk a lot about kingdom and all of those things. And one of the days while we were having this meeting, these kids play football in front of my house. So they kicked the ball and he hits my window, the window of my house. And
Yes.
one of the young people there stood up to go stop the train. Usually what we'll do is seize the ball, send them away, then later give them their ball back. But as soon as the person stood up and was about to go, what came to my spirit is those are children to disciple. You can send them away, or you can put something together and begin to disciple them. In fact, I told everybody there,
Yes.
I said, if you have children around your house who do things like this, you spend more than 300 naira every week loading your phone and having conversations that have no meaning. Buy
Yes.
Indomie, invite them for
Yes.
what we used to call Indomie Bible study. Do you know what you just said now reminded
Yes.
me of that?
So
We've
a
let
good
this thing how
meal.
many years ago?
Exactly.
But some few months ago, my sister even went to some of the children from them. They are young adults now, right? Who are doing their own
Exactly.
stuff and are running their own stuff. And these are kids who their parents used to, my sister, you just don't even know that I'm her brother. These are kids who their parents leave the house 6 a.m. in the morning, come back 10 p.m. in the night, and leave this kid. So the only thing they need to do is play football. I used to say something then that is very important.
Exactly.
I think it's very important. Everybody needs to hear. If you think the only people the only people children you're called to raise are your own children, you should consider the fact that one day your children will have to deal with those children you're not paying attention to. And God help you that
Exactly.
those children are not taken by vices. The children will have to deal with them. Thank you so much,
Yes.
ma, for everything you are saying. I want to
Thank
round
you.
up with this. With this, we've seen a surge in women involved in politics, right? And it's been awesome. It's been awesome to see. What do you attribute this to, and what should we do? And what should we be doing to bring more women with good values into the political sphere?
Well, I mean, it's interesting that women actually form the largest part of any political, let me say, congregation or, population. If we have a political meeting right now, I can guarantee you that maybe 60, 70% of those there, are women. And I think over the years, which is not, I think it's not just Nigeria, it's just that cultural bias that, we kind of box women into certain areas and feel. But over time, we've seen that women are more vocal, women are more, they are becoming more of decision makers. And women themselves have now realized that, I don't want to go into the cliche of what a man can do, a woman can do. That's not the issue. The issue is that women are becoming, they are coming into themselves, they are coming into realization that, they actually have a lot to give. I want to look at it from the place of service and a place of giving. That's okay, I can do more than sing at political meetings. I see more because a woman is naturally gifted to be a multitasker. They see more than men do. It's proven. So if they are now allowed to bring that part of them to augment what is already existing, we get a win-win situation. So right now, we see more women coming forward. We still need to see many more come forward because a lot more are second guessing themselves. A lot more still feel that who will listen to me. A lot more have issues at home whereby there's that stigma that a woman in politics is just like somebody in, acting. It's a place where they feel that women there, are taken advantage of in a peculiar way, which is not true. I can tell that for myself, which is not true. We've had many issues, not even here, abroad, involving women, and it looked as if the women was taken advantage of. So it gives this kind of narrative, but we are getting over those things now,
Mm.
and we're going to begin to see many more women in positions of authority, of influence, of transformation. So yes, I think women are becoming, that's the way I can put
Mm.
it. They are coming to the realization that what God has put inside of them, they are able to actually bring it out and be impactful. So yeah, I'm looking forward to having more women.
Mm.
I'm particularly excited because honestly, in the last 1 year, I've had many of my young mentees come to me. I want to join APC, and how do I go about it? I had to write out like a 10-step, document or checklist that I just sent to people that ask me they want to join.
Mm.
And this year more than ever, I had so many people, tell me, oh, would like to join, would like to, participate. And that is quite encouraging. And these are professionals. These are people that I know that, when they get there,
Mm.
they are not just going to sit back. They're going to add value. So it's not from the position of wanting to become, a particular office holder. Is actually from the position of, we want to give value. I'm a content, writer. This, and that. Even doctors, I'm a medical person. You want to have medical outreach for, for children in the party. So they are getting more involved. So it's not just about position. It's actually being in the midst of where decisions are being taken. That when they are taking the decision, for instance, the people taking the decision may be limited. They don't know certain things. But when you have other people in there, you have a more robust team. You can now tell them that, no, this thing that you want to do, if you start this particular business in this area is going to have the effect on your water, this and that. Oh, is that true? So when you bring they're bringing their supply to the table. So certain things don't get wrong at the point of execution, because that would have been taken care of at the point of even, when they thought it through and they had discussion. So I'm really looking forward to more women coming into politics, coming to be decision makers, bringing their supply to the table at the ward level. That's where it starts from. The discussion will start at the ward level. They are there, they are participating, they are giving them advice and things like that. So I encourage women, and some of you've seen yourself in dreams. People have told you speak well, people have told you this and that, and it's leading you in that direction. Please join us.
Wow.
There's space for many more women in politics.
Wow, join. I completely agree. They need to join people like you, because there's something I noticed, and this last thing now, something I noticed, and I used to say it every time women stand up to do something. You see that it's always tailored towards women and children. I've always said you can do more. There are women who have impacted men, and in fact, I've seen that in you, because every time I've been around you, it was not just young ladies who were around you. There were young men around you. I know how many of those young men are doing things today as a result of the mentorship, your mentorship over them. And so what do you want to speak to women who just think, if I stand up now and I want to do anything, it has to be women and children? Do you want to make final words to those kind of women?
No. Okay, so and I'll tell you this, and it's also been proven. We've concentrated a lot on our women, even for us people my age. My father, for instance, would not allow me to study abroad, and he said, for everybody, age of maturity is 21, yours is 22. So I finally got to leave the comfort of my home at a matured age. Now, it's because we concentrated so much on the women. We now found out that these women now married men that some of them were half-baked. So my mentor, Ibukwan Woshika, has this 360 degrees. We have women, but my own courts were particular about the male child. So we've run this series for, I think we're going to run another one this October, that we probably have Fela Durotoye come to talk to teenagers, secondary school level, and we called it Men to Role Model. Because we can't just continue focusing on women. For me, we need to focus on our male, because when you focus on the women and they are well done, the male that will come and marry them, they also have to be well done. So I'm talking to people that feel that they are called to that space to nurture the male children or male youth and all that. We have to do both. So it's not just about women. So when I talk about youth, I'm talking both male and female. But sometimes there are certain things that, for instance, I'll be launching She Builds in a few days or thereabouts. Yes, it's focusing on women. And the reason is because you have so many women that have things to offer, but they are kind of clamped down for various reasons. And it's the space that God has called me to at this time, right? But that does not mean that we are not going to be focusing on the male, counterpart. I believe there are people, you've asked the right question, and I hope that those people that God has called at this time to raise and to help those male, because the things that you see, okay, so for instance, if a man is talking to a woman from a man's perspective, we also need to listen to that as female. It's the same way that we as mothers, wives, sisters will talk to our brothers, our husbands from our perspective, that will make that male child or male youth a more robust, wholesome individual. So we need to actually cross-pollinate, male talking to female and female talking to male, and so that we will have a more robust society. So if you are being called to that space, a woman to nurture male, please, we need more of you out there as well. More of you out there.
Yeah. We need more of this kind of people. Thank you so much, ma. How can anyone connect with you? You're starting the She Build program. You do many other things. How can people, viewers watching right now, connect with what you're doing?
Okay, my Facebook is there. Everything is Remi
Hmm.
Odunsi. Instagram, Twitter. I'm not very active on Twitter. I go in and out of Twitter. When it gets too hot, I just exit. Twitterville is a place where, but I promised myself that I'll be more. What's it called?
Involved here.
I'm not on TikTok.
Hmm.
Once in a while, I throw one or two videos into TikTok. Like my son said, I'm not on Snapchat. I don't even understand it. But this generation, the teens, they don't even use
Well,
WhatsApp. Their own is Snapchat and all those, what's it
hmm.
called? So, but basically, my Instagram is there, my Facebook, those two, social media, and it's Remi Odunsi, and the handle is Remi Odunsi.
Okay, man. My team is gonna find all. We're gonna find all those handles and then put them in the chat
Yes,
area for you to just
yes,
click and follow
thank you.
her. I'm sure you've been blessed today. I'm sure you've been
Yes,
transformed today. Thank you so much, ma, for pouring your heart and also committing to
thank you
coming
for
back. We're going to
having me.
follow this up immediately, and we're going to follow this up
Okay,
so we can bring it back. I saw something. Maybe we're not going to discuss it now. I will follow you again for that one where you were talking. I think a program where you were going to be
okay,
teaching on weaponizing your children. I think it's another thing we should talk about one of these days.
yes,
I'll follow up with your team to see that we were able to do
yes,
that as your schedule will allow. Thank you so much, ma, for coming on. Thank you for pouring your heart. As usual, our
thank you.
audience might think this is unusual, but I've sat down where you've taught. I've sat down in a meeting where you taught Pastor Praise or a meeting of Pastor Praise in Abuja. I've sat in numerous meetings, and this is the
Okay,
kind of things we get for you. Thank you so much, ma, for coming on.
thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for having me. And I hope to see you all at the polling booth
We'll all be there.
when it's time to
We'll all
vote.
be there.
Today we're to,
We'll all be there.
so today we're talking about being responsible
Hmm.
citizens. So please, let's get out there.
Yes,
Yes.
it starts with getting your PVC, and
Thank
if it's
you.
expired, go renew it as soon as possible. Let's be responsible
Exactly.
citizens.
Renew.
Let's
Yes.
be responsible citizens. Thank you so much, man. Thank you, everyone, for
Yes.
tuning in tonight. Until next
Thank
time, see
you.
you. Good night.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, man.